Get those nerds!
What? Are you kidding? Bid Nerds is back. Brand new editions. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bid Nerds. Michael Deeb, my partner in San Francisco. How are you, buddy?
Awesome, man. Oh, dude, so good to be back. Look at our new format. We're looking fly.
We got all this stuff around us. We're gonna mess with a lot of that over the coming weeks. But really, hey, by the way, my name is John Polnick. I'm your host, coming to you from the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas at the Rami Studio. Yeah, guys, look, we've been working really hard for weeks. We didn't mean to be gone for so long, but it took a lot of work to get all this stuff to work, and it's still not working. See all that black space above me and above him? That's not supposed to be there. I can't get it to work.
JP, something just dawned on me when you looked up the first time.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm looking at our screen and we have this little split window, it looks like we're looking into the two windows of an airplane.
we are on the side of it. We have our own jet now. That's what's going on. How nice would that be? Maybe that's because of our new sponsors, God and Porsche of Las Vegas, are hooking us up. Those guys are awesome down there. If you are an enthusiast looking for an enthusiast car, particularly like a classic Porsche or something, they've got the Porsche Classic department. They are fantastic. You don't have to dig through auctions and listen to dorks like us tell you whether or not it's a good buy. Just go straight to God and Porsche of Las Vegas and skip all that, and then just they'll fly you there. If you buy a car from me, you can fly there, drive the car around for the weekend, stay at a cool hotel, and then go home and they'll ship the car back. It's awesome. But hey, what do we do on this channel? If you're new to the channel, thanks for joining the herd. We want you to hit the subscribe, like, and notification button right now if you haven't done that already. What we do here is we make predictions about the most interesting car of the day from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites. So we pick a car from something like Bring a Trailer, P-Car Market, or Cars and Bids. We discuss the pros and cons of said vehicle. We make a prediction as what we think is going to happen with that car's auction. Will it meet reserve? Is there no reserve? Why? All that kind of stuff. And then we get in our DeLorean with a flux capacitor at the end of the episode, and we go into the future, and we will show you what happened with that car's auction. So we will resolve the question.
We will declare a winner.
And we will declare a winner. And you can play along. It's just like what is it? The Price is Right. You just you can put in the comments down below what you think of our bids, and you can make your own. And if you win, you don't get anything. But
what did Bob Barker say in Happy Gilmore? Price is wrong, bitch. Or no, Adam Sandler said that to Bob Barker when he was punching him on the golf course.
Spay and neuter your dog. All right, let's get to the cars, man, because that's what we do here, right? We talk about cars. What's today? The most interesting car of the day is not always the most expensive or exotic or amazing. It's the most interesting. And Michael Deeb, you picked an interesting one. That is
this is, believe it or not, this is a Buddha. Shout out to Mike Myers.
Oh, okay.
This is a Buddha special because Buddha is the only person I know in today's age who would consciously buy a used Mitsubishi. So on Bring a Trailer, somebody has imported out of Japan in, I think, September of last year, out of Hudson, New Hampshire, a 1997 Mitsubishi Pajero Evolution. Essentially, JP, you know how you and I love homologation specials? I mean, obviously, the easiest one to come to mind is the E30 generation BMW M3. The box fender flares and the wing were put onto production cars so that BMW could homologate those parts onto their racing cars. Well, this car is a homologation special for races like the Paris-Dakar Rally, and this car is essentially a rally raid car built for the street so that those parts could be homologated for the car in competition in events around the world. So our car is showing 122,000 kilometers, 76,000 miles. It's in, I think I mentioned, Hudson, New Hampshire. It was imported out of Japan in October of 22, so actually just a couple of months ago, not the year before, which would put it right on the eve of its 25-year eligibility for importation into the United States. John, this car is one of 2,500 ever made. It is right-hand drive, as it was a Japanese market special. This is the end of the second generation of the Pajero. And then it's got, believe it or not, John, it's got independent rear suspension. It makes 276 normally aspirated horsepower from its 3.5-liter V6. And it revs to over 7,000 RPM. 276 horsepower. Now, you remember, John, back in period in 1997, all of the Japanese manufacturers had a gentleman's agreement that they would not exceed 276 horsepower, which was published, even though a lot of those cars made more than that. So it is widely regarded that this car actually makes over 300 horsepower. So if you get into that 300 to 350 horsepower, you're talking about 100 horsepower per liter, normally aspirated, from a two-door sport SUV. You might also notice it's got these really heavily bolstered Recaro seats. This is just a pure unobtainium. I mean, this is a car that we never got in this country. And a lot of the features that are on this car were way ahead of their time. But again, all that stuff was put into the car so that they could homologate it for racing. And it was very successful, I might add. This car essentially was supposed to compete or dominate a basically stock class. And when this car was released to the public, one of these models actually won the Paris-Dakar Rally outright. So they really outkicked their coverage when they did this. And so the car became a bit of a living legend. Again, for years, this is unobtainium on our shores. But now that some of these cars are turning 25 years old, we're going to start to see a handful of these get imported into the country in states anywhere but the one I live in. So while this car is in New Hampshire, John, you or Buddha could buy it and drive it around in Nevada, in Clark County. And I think it'd be pretty cool. While the rest of us are taking the hill to Sandy, you could just go right over the mountain. Anyway, really cool car. Again, let me point out, independent rear suspension on a sport SUV. The car kind of, the driver does a really nice, the seller does a really nice video, spends quite a few minutes and is very candid about his driving impressions of the car. The car does lean from left to right, but then it kind of sets, almost like a progressive rate spring, and then it kind of handles. So it's really weird. It's fast without being quick. It handles without being rigid. A car that was built to be off-road and dominated the competition that it entered. Unobtainium for years, but now there's one available on BAT. You could put one in your garage. JP, what are your feelings of the box fender flares on the two-door, four-seat Pajero Evolution?
Man, this thing, I gotta say, man, it clicks so many boxes, but misses
right?
in just two big ways. It's like, okay, the right-hand drive I could almost live with. I get it, it's a Japanese car. But what the hell? Why is it an automatic? Why is this thing not a three-pedal car? I just can't imagine having this much power. Just what? Okay, they're showing, B-roll of capable off-road vehicles. This thing,
predecessors to this car, yeah.
Yeah, and like I had a Dodge Raider for a second, which was basically a Mitsubishi Montero, same thing. But
I had two of those, by the way.
Yeah, and those were pretty darn good off-road, but they weren't very good on-road. I mean, anything that has like, it had the little dome on the top that was, the tiltometer, or whatever the hell they call that thing. That's not a car you want to go around a corner in, man. And so 300 horsepower, I can't. No wonder they didn't bring them here. Everybody would be flipping them over. Very neat, very fun. This would be great fun out in the sand and the dunes, like they just showed in that Dakar video there. But do I want one? No. Would I bid on this? Man, I mean, oh, hey, look, we lost Michael Deeb. He went somewhere. Michael Deeb had to go pee or something. Welcome back to the show.
Sorry, JP.
Dork.
I think, I think as I'm learning the ins and outs of my Canon M50, I believe my camera has a minute limit on the video feed, and I'll have to go back into the settings and fix that. So I apologize for my little cameo off camera.
Well, you are a little glitchy, but at least the sound is staying fine.
Thank
So we
goodness.
won't
Yeah.
have all the sound issues in the comments. Everybody, the people that come on the show and make comments about the sound. It's like, yes,
Yeah.
we know, right? It took us a year to figure out how to fix it. No, it wasn't the internet connection. No, it wasn't our microphone. No, it wasn't one of the cables. No, it wasn't all the things that all the expert, everybody like comes on there like, I'm an expert. I'm going to help you. You're stupid. That's basically what you're saying. We knew what the problems were, and it was the system we were using, the software. Don't use, if you're thinking of starting a podcast, do not use Switcher Studio if you're going to have a remote guest. If you're bringing someone like Michael Deeb and I here, we're in 2 different states. We're 1,000 miles from one another, at least 600 miles, and we're doing this show. Switcher is not your solution for that. Find something else. Anyways, so, okay, this Pajero, I don't even know how to pronounce it correct. I think it looks... Pajero. I think it looks neat as hell. If it were left-hand drive, I might be able to live with the auto tragic thing. If it were... if it were a manual, I might be able to live with a right-hand drive thing. I don't know. It just
my
feeling
is inverted.
Really,
my feeling it's inverted. See, the fact that it's right-hand drive, I'm fine with it being an automatic because the hardest I could do is right-hand drive and manual. I did that. I rented a car in Australia, and it took me 2 hours to get out of Sydney because I was suddenly dyslexic. I couldn't figure out how to make a left or a right-hand turn because everything was inverted. I just think this car is so cool. That motor, while it doesn't sound spectacular, a 300 horsepower normally aspirated 3.5 liter V6, 25 years ago, John, that was almost unheard of. I mean, this is a really high output motor for its day. That independent rear suspension and then the 2-door version of this car, I just think it's really cool. The box fender flares. When Mercedes first made the ML, their concept car for the first ML55 had Evo fenders like a 190 Evo 2, and it looked a little bit like this car. They wound up not using the box fenders for the production version of the first ML55 AMG, but that concept car was really cool looking, a lot like what Mitsubishi had the balls to do by building this Pajero Evolution. So, Buddha, this car is for you. JP, our car is sitting at $29,000 on 7 bids, and I'll be the first to confess, I have no idea what these cars are worth. I have no idea what the seller probably paid in Japan to get this car. It looks to be in nice condition, but it's not low mileage. It's been driven. But how do you put a price on a car where there are literally no comps on the continent? My feeling is that if the car were in spectacular low mile condition, this would be a 6-figure car. But as it sits here, and the fact that I think most people like you and I probably don't know a lot about these, I just wonder how easy it'll be for somebody to find the market for this car, especially with the economy being what it is right now. So with all of that in mind, John, I'm going to go for me, conservative, I'm going to go $89,000.
Oh,
but
wow.
But if it brings that, I don't even know if it'll sell. I mean, is this a $150,000 car? I mean, 2,500 doesn't make it that rare, but the fact that they were never sold on this continent does. So I'm going to go 89,000. I still think somebody's going to pay big money for this thing. I don't think this is a $50,000 car by any stretch. I think it's more special than that. And I bet they were pretty pricey when they were new. So if they're holding their value, even in places like Japan, somebody paid dearly for this car, and then had to bring it in, which is not cheap in today's, numbers. So where are you at? I know you're going to come under, but how far?
Yeah, dude. I mean, this thing is special and it's neat and it's fun. There was, our Matt Farah over there at the Smoking Tire. Hey guys, he was recently asked, how do you flex in the car scene if you don't have a lot of money? Like, let's say you got $30,000. Do you go buy, the best 911 you can get? What's the best 911 you can get for 30 grand? You're getting like a, first gen 996 or something, right? You're not getting anything anyone's going to look twice at. He's like, get something that's rare. Get a Saab 900 turbo. get the best one there is. You show up to Cars and
Yeah.
Coffee in something like that, and everyone's looking. And they
Yep.
want to talk. They'll walk right by a CGT to go talk to the guy that has, some like a
Yeah.
Peugeot
A Vigan.
ME16 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is where something like this could live. This is
Yeah.
a Radwood Gold type of thing, but it has to be at a value price. Nobody wants this car because no one knows what it is. No one's ever heard. I've never
Right.
heard of this thing. So I just don't think, unless they're the two people that do know what it is and want it, I feel like the two people that know what this is, out of those two people, one of them already own it. So you can't get in a bidding war with yourself. It's going to be one other person's like, oh, great. So I don't know.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see. I don't think $50,000 happens, so I'm going to say $49,999. I don't think it breaks $50,000.
And yeah, and you might be right, but I think if that's where this car lands, John, I think it fails to sell at that price. I suspect that this car is expensive. I just feel like it is, but we'll see. We'll learn after our word from our sponsor, I should say. Now that we have one,
I suspect you might be right, because this was just imported. If it wasn't, if it were imported a long time ago, look, does the person that just imported it go, okay, these are worth so much money, if this is going to be so rare, people are going to pay through the nose for it? Or is the person, did they get it really cheap because no one knows what it is? And they paid like $12,000 for it, and now they're like, yeah, it's at 30 already. Sweet. I mean, I just don't know.
I just don't think that's the case, because Japan is a great car, culture country, and they got cars from Asia that we just don't get here, right-hand drive or otherwise. So I just don't think that's the case. But like I said, we'll find out. We'll learn. I part of me sort of wishes this car was on P-Car Market, so that if it fails to sell, it winds up on the deal tank, and we get an idea of at least what the seller was looking for it.
Yeah.
That still might not tell us what he paid for it. But just because of all the homologation stuff that's on this car, how few they made, although 2,500 isn't that small a number. They made less of these than they made GT3s. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's hear from our good friends over at Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. We'll get in the future machine, and we'll be right back with the results of this very rare car right after this. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden. This guy.
1989 linen gray metallic G50 cab.
Is that going to be for sale?
It is going to be for sale. The car only has 65,000 miles on it.
Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. Welcome back to Bid Nerds, everyone. Thanks for sticking around with us. Oh, look at the shame on my partner, Michael Deeb. I don't know. We took a little break over the holidays, and I think he just I don't know what happened. He lost his mojo. He's got to get back on his game. He doesn't know what things are worth. Subscribe, like, or notification button if you haven't done it already. Michael Deeb, this is a weirdo car. I mean, I don't know how anyone would. In your defense, this one is one of the harder ones to call. Remind the audience real quickly what we're talking about, and let's get to the results.
Look at this. This is such cool unobtainium, a 1997 Mitsubishi Pajero Evolution. This is a homologation special out of the Japanese market. This super cool car has independent rear suspension and a normally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 with around 300 horsepower. I know it's tough to guess what a car like this or an SUV like this might be worth, because we've never had anything exactly like this in the USA. But I am shocked by this result. You and I had arguably one of our biggest cavern splits between our bids. I jumped the gun and said $89,000 because in my mind, I thought a car like this, something this rare, and I say rare only because we never had them here. They did build 2,500 of them. So I guess they're not rare by the production numbers. But I thought a car like this could go for around $100,000. You picked yourself up off the floor after you stopped laughing at me and said, no effing way. And normally you just park your bid, $1 under me and you get all that space below. But you went out on a limb and said $49,000 $49,999 as your bid, creating, a 30, almost $40,000 split between us. JP, our car did sell on Bring a Trailer for $48,013
Oh,
on
man.
39 bids. John, I have to, my bid sounds ridiculous in light of the result, but JP, out of nowhere, you almost got a Yahtzee. I mean, $2,000 off on any other car that we know the values of because we see them transact all the time. We say that's not that close. But for you to just say, 50 grand and it sold for 48, you were right on the money, my friend. In my mind, you get a gentleman's Yahtzee on that. So there you go.
Well, that's very
What do you think
gracious
of that
you.
result for? Yeah, what do you think of that result for that car? To me, it seems like a lot of car for the money. It's super rare. If you go to Cars and Coffee in this thing, JP, and I think you were saying this when we were talking about it, everybody's going to walk right over to this car.
Yeah,
They're going to walk right past the Lamborghini to see this thing.
Yeah, every F8 and all that. Nobody's going to care about that when they see this. This has definitely got some squeeze for the car show scene. But that's it. That's really, I mean, and yeah, I'm sure it's fun or whatever. It's nifty and it's got cachet. But I mean, look, $50,000 is the new $30,000.
Is it? Yeah.
I think, I mean, look, it's unfortunately, inflation is a thing. And so, looking at a car like this that is rare, but rarity only goes so far. People have to know what something is in order for something being rare to matter. That's why, I could draw a picture, I could paint something, and put it on the wall, and I could say, hey, look, it's a one-of-one painting, but no one knows who I am and no one knows me as a painter, so no one cares. It's not that rarity just doesn't translate to something someone would buy. And I think this car is kind of the same thing, like I said before the break. How you can't get in a bidding war when everyone's just trying to figure out what it even is. But it is neat, and I think, for $30,000-$40,000, okay, that makes sense. That's just it's weird to say, but it's just not that much money when you're talking about cars these days. I mean, Ferraris and all that stuff. I mean, look, you start looking at really nice cars, and you walk into a Porsche dealership, and the 911 you want is $200,000, and that's not a GT3. That's not they're starting at $1.50 for the base models now. So $50,000 for this really neat thing that someone can kind of flex at the car show. Yeah, all right, that makes sense. That makes some sense to me.
This one is interesting, JP. At $48,000, on the presumption that this guy made money, it must have cost him between $10,000 and $15,000 to bring it in. So, I mean, did this guy really buy this car out of Japan for $37,000 and bring it in and make $2,500? I mean, it's a shockingly low number to me. I really thought it was going to bring more. The other thing is, I don't know these cars very well. It's conceivable, at least in my mind, trying to make sense of this result, that this is an automatic and that they probably made a bunch of these with manual transmissions, and perhaps the manuals, like a lot of other classic cars that you and I are in love with, the manuals bring a big premium. So maybe that helps explain why this one was so inexpensive. But even if 50 is the new 30, this still seems like a lot of car for the money. So congratulations to the buyer and I guess the seller who must have made money. This was a reserve auction and it cleared the reserve. So, I'm sure he covered his asset on that one. There you go.
I don't know why you would assume that. I mean, who knows? He may have lost his butt. He may have been in your camp thinking, oh, this is so rare, it's going to bring $90,000. And he may have just lost his shorts. I mean, we have zero evidence to support one way or the other.
But if just speaking for a person who couldn't afford that kind of loss, like if I go to BAT and I say, this is my car, I need the reserve to be $60,000, and they say, sorry, Mr. Deeb, you're going to get a reserve of 45. I'm not going to agree to sell it on their thing. Then all of a sudden, Doug DeMuro and P-Car Market, they're my huckleberry. I'm going right to them. But, I don't know. I assume he made money because I assume he agreed to the reserve, even if he didn't like the reserve. And I would think that the reserve would have to make sense as far as fishing his investment out of it. But I don't know. You're right. I could totally be wrong. I hope you bought this car for $48,000, my friend. That is your baby right there. Michael D picked that for you. So
very good. All right. What do you guys think in the comments below? Is this something that you would even buy? What do you think of right-hand drive cars? What do you think of the value long-term on right-hand cars? Is that something that's worth that a collectible car that you think will appreciate now that it's here? And now that, I mean, obviously BAT, the fact that this car is on BAT just let tens of thousands of people that never heard of one know that it exists. So that alone could bring up its cachet. We let about 4 or 5 other people know that it exists because that's about how many people watch our show. So there you go. The Pajero's value is on the rise. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for sticking around. We've got another interesting car for you tomorrow. So we will see you then. Bye-bye.
Get those nerds!